First ever. Okay. All right. Awesome. This is gonna just not want to work for me. Hey guys, welcome to True Crime
Whoa!
Live.
That's right.
This
We're live. There's one person watching. That might be me.
No,
Repeat.
there's
That
people
might
already
be me.
chatting.
There are? Oh my
Yeah,
God. Whoa.
yeah, they're everywhere.
Hey.
There are
Oh,
people
I can't wait
everywhere.
for you to tell everyone you forgot.
Why would? God damn it. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to True Crime Live.
As you know, True Crime Live has its own dance that involves
That's
mostly the
right.
arms
This is the
and
True
this
Crime Live
motion.
dance, everybody. Good morning. Happy Monday morning, everyone. And I know what you're thinking. How bold is Bob Ruff to begin his first ever True Crime Live show wearing a sweaty gym shirt with his hair messed up? You know, what kind of guts does this guy have? That's what you guys are
Yeah,
thinking.
he's gutsy.
Yeah, I'm very gutsy.
Super gutsy.
Yeah, turns out I am a creature with habits, and I have a habit. Monday morning, I go. Today was a little off. I had to go take my daughter's car back in to finish the repairs on that. Went to the post office, dropped off the old quail eggs. You know, that's a big part of my mornings. Sending them
Sure.
across the country.
Me too.
Went
Sure.
to the gym, had a nice good workout, came
Great.
in, settled in to write script to record ads
Uh-huh.
when Janet texts me at 2 minutes before the time when we had all discussed that we were going to come on and do this live show, and said, and by the way, Janet, you know, my first response to you where I said, that was not an oh yeah, that was an what the hell are you talking about?
Oh, no, it's even worse than I
Oh.
thought.
And then after I hit send, I'm like, oh no, we said we were going to do this whole new big thing today. That's right, Michelle. It is a Patagonia, and Teresa.
Oh.
I went to the post office today, Teresa, because you told me to go to the post office and check the PO box, which I hadn't done. And by the way, guys, go on our website. There's a PO box where you can send stuff if you want to. And I have two packages. Somebody else had sent a package weeks ago from Canada, from beautiful Canada. Which I could only assume is for us to open up on the show. So I thought about, just bringing that in today, but I assumed that was intended for it to be open on the Patreon hour on Wednesday. So I'm going to save those things. I got something that I'm going to guess came from Teresa.
Uh-huh.
And go fuck yourself, Teresa, who says, Bob, you're the first surprise guest on your own show. That's right. Oh, Jenna, thank you so much for the super chats. Remember, guys, yeah, we're gonna talk. We're gonna go over right. Well,
I see that cat. I know that means there has to be some kitten talk. And I can already tell you right
yeah.
now, we are fully going to forget things like whether we talked about stuff here or whether we
Yeah.
talked about stuff with Zach. So this
Yeah.
could be very hard. We're going to be like,
Listen,
didn't
Wednesdays
we?
become
But that's just
Zach
driving
hour.
traffic back and forth.
Yeah, that's
to
right.
the
Go back and forth. That's all
the
marketing.
live
We got
YouTube.
this, and we got this back. Those are the things that we do. Oh, and I really thought, well, let's just wait and do this tomorrow because I'm not prepared at all for this. And then I thought, Janet is a professional,
Yeah.
and it's 8 a.m. in California,
Yeah.
and I'm certain that you woke up early, made sure to do hair and makeup and have
Gave
everything.
the dog her pills.
Yeah, give everything.
All the stuff.
All for, and can we put a little bit of the blame of this on you? I mean, you didn't communicate with me all weekend.
Listeners, you tell me. When Bob says he's convinced
These are not listeners,
me,
these are viewers.
viewers, friends.
Yeah. Friends. Let's call them friends.
When Bob Ruff asks his friend, who has 11 other jobs, to do this other thing with him, she says yes, and he says, all right, well, we're going to do this on Monday. I'll see everyone there. We'll be there. Is it fair to assume that I would be like, okay, cool, I'm going to be there. I'll have something to talk about, whether I hear from Bob over the weekend or not. I know we made this commitment, so I'm going to make sure I set my alarm and get enough sleep and even jot down a couple things that I want to talk about because we are here to help support. And by the way, there's a writer's strike on, so You ain't the only one who needs support because
so send in those super chats. Jada and I are splitting these to pay our rent.
Starving.
Speaking of which, Polly Prissy Pants, I love the name.
Polly Prissy Pants.
$5 super chat says excited for the first live stream and to help support the podcast. Thank you so much, Polly. And she calls it a pod. First topic, and this is important. Your thoughts on using the word pod as a verb? Hot take.
Oh, using a pod, like we're going to pod later?
Yeah.
I mean, first impressions, I don't love it, but that doesn't mean that I won't come around to it because I am notorious for being the person who's quick to shit on all colloquialisms and then a week later be like, I'm soups excited.
Yeah, per usual.
Exactly.
And be fair, Polly in her super chat did not do this, but it's something
it's been coming up for you. People have been saying we're going to pod.
We were doing when Zach and I were doing our last comedy show. The host of the show has a podcast where he talks to the comedians that are going to perform that night in his car. It's called the Clown Car Podcast. Shout out to Max. Nice. He talks to us before and then after the performance, and he said, "Hey guys, what time do y'all want a pod in my car?" And I text back a barfy face emoji.
Yeah. Because guess what? Speaking of barfy faces, Joey's response to podding as a verb is not quite a barf. It's the full green face emoji, which is one of my favorites, to be honest. It is one of my favorites.
Spring for the super chat. Thank you so much. Getting our feet under us. I mean, I think this is and it seems to be according to the chat that
there's 76 people here. Bobby, what if we hadn't come on?
What right? What if I wasn't one of the 76? What if I wasn't one of the 76, which I almost wasn't?
So bad. That would be so bad.
But at the end of the day, I quoted one of your favorite people, your hero. It said, "Fuck it, we'll do it live. Let's go."
Yeah.
Let's go. We need you guys start thinking about, and you can super chat your kind of votes and thoughts. And we may or may not be able to get a hold of these people, but at some point in this morning live stream, we're going to try to get a celebrity drop in. So let us know who.
I'm excited to see you scrambling for this because.
Hey,
you yourself forgot. Again, if you want to surprise yourself, I love Teresa's point that you're the first surprise guest on the podcast. It is. Teresa's got some real zingers.
Yeah.
Isn't Teresa? And I know it is, so don't even bother. But Teresa, aren't you also the one who was like, "Bob, have you ever had garlic bread?" When you said you'd had toast. You had tomatoes and cheese. I have never had
a toast. I've never heard of. Let's go get a toast. Danielle Townsend super chats for $5. It says this could get very expensive for me. I don't mind pod as a verb, but please don't take it Danielle, as far as podding.
Mary's going again. And by the way, this is a great opportunity to use that super chat to ask questions. And this is a great opportunity to ask us, like, I'll tell you what I prepared. And when I say prepared, I'm using that term very loosely. But I love talking about other true crime stuff that I'm listening to or watching or into. Yeah. I love recommendations from people. So this is a great place to have that extra time to do that and talk about other theories and things. And I cannot promise that I won't want to talk about our case. But again, this is like this because I text you and ask you questions and reread things. So, I mean, part of me feels like, and we're recording this, so if we need to, we can always push it out into Patreon as bonus stuff for Pinion Pines. But I want everyone to rest assured, yes, I am listening to the entire season again from the beginning. The recent conversations about some of those early interviews, I started listening. I told you guys in a past episode in a past follow-up that I had listened to a couple of like Robert and Javier's interviews, and I was like, speaking of fuck it, we'll do it live. I was like, fuck it, I'm going back to episode 1.
Back to the beginning.
So I don't listen to the follow-ups. I just listen to the episodes because no one wants to hear their own voice that much. So I don't listen to myself asking questions or anything like that. But the one thing that I did listen to the follow-up from the Fires Revisited because I felt like I needed to refresh myself on some of the stuff that we
should talk about that in a second because because when we do the follow-up, we got to stay on topic of this week's episode. I don't want to lose track of Mary
wants to know how to watch the Patreon show. Yes.
Yeah, she's new to Patreon. How do you watch the Patreon show and when is it? So what we do, Mary, is on Wednesdays when we record the follow-up, Zach and Jana and I, we get on Zoom and record video like this for usually at least an hour before the show. And then we continue that recording through the entire live stream. And then we kind of do a recap at the end of it. And then we post that video on Friday morning. So if you go into either Patreon on a computer or the Patreon app, and you'll see there's like postings. It's just like Facebook. There's like postings that you'll see the episodes there all ad free. And then you'll see the follow up behind the scenes. And usually it ends up being like a 2.5 hour, 2 hour and 15 minute video. So you can just do it right on the Patreon app or through the Patreon website. And if you listened to the episode, most of that second hour you will have already heard. But the full first hour is all stuff that is only for the patrons. It's a whole hour of us chit-chatting.
Ignore this, but so Mary, so when you go to Patreon, you can go to the Truth and Justice page, and then you can see all of the different posts.
Yeah.
And in there, you'll see like, oh, here, if you just want to listen, and then, if you want to watch that follow-up, you can do it right there on Patreon. So it kind of keeps you apprised of what's being posted and stuff, and you can comment there and all that good stuff. So that's and then again, if you want to watch it live, that's YouTube on Wednesdays.
So Angela super chats and says, I asked a question a few weeks ago regarding the word inaudible in transcripts. Bob, you started to answer but then started talking about something else. I
mean, that doesn't sound like you, does it?
No, not at all.
It definitely sounds like me. Angela, when I first read your post, this is how sure I was it was my fault. I misread it and literally thought you said like that Bob started to answer and that I started talking about something else, because that also seems highly likely. But remember that question? Remember Angela said, like, why isn't there more accountability to transcripts when something's inaudible? Like, shouldn't the person say?
Do you remember the question, exactly what it was?
I do. I mean, that was what. So Angela said, until we've always just kind of taken this idea of somebody making this transcript, that it happens on the law enforcement side. It's not us listening to an interview and transcribing it. It happens by or whoever transcribes it, the steno that is attached to the case. Does transcribes those interviews, listens to them transcribe, and if they can't hear or understand what's being said, they'll just put inaudible. And Angela was like, it didn't occur to me how much that could matter until the situation where we were, we had a specific transcript where it seemed really important, and I believe it was John's son. I think it was that transcript, and tell me if I'm wrong, Angela. But and it was like, this seems like really important. We're wondering when someone was supposed to be somewhere. That's could be key, because timing is everything in this case. And when something's inaudible, is there no accountability to someone saying, hey, I can't hear what this is. You were in the room, like, you need to tell me. It can't just go in the report. That there's some sense of like the transcript needing to be as complete as possible. Do you have any thoughts on that, or any wisdom on that?
Yeah, I think that they're erring on the side of caution. And just real quick too, Angela, if you have any follow up to that, you don't need a super chat. We're watching the chat, so you can. Yeah, there it is. It was. But I think they're erring on the side of caution. So the transcribers, I think, are tasked with making sure that everything they put into the transcript is accurate. And if they can't be certain of what they're hearing, then they're supposed to put inaudible. So I guess is that so the idea is that somebody should go back to. I don't personally, I don't like that, because look at the, for example, in the Pinyon Pines case, I don't trust Ryan Bodmer at all. So I wouldn't want the transcriber to go to this person that I don't trust and say, well, I can't hear what he's saying. Why don't you tell me what he said?
Right.
Oh, well, he said, I'm guilty. That's what he said. So he was like, I was going to a football game. I'm guilty. And then I went home and got pizza. It's like, that's what I don't, So I think personally, I think it's just fine. I think they need to make their best effort to try to hear it. If they don't know exactly what they're saying, and there's been instances where it says inaudible, and then we put it out to our listeners and they've picked it up. And the one with John's son was a perfect example of that, because they were able to, there was a handful of listeners that said, I think he said something about Monday Night Football. I couldn't hear that at all. But then when we went back
Yeah,
and read
me
the
neither.
report, sure enough, that's what he was talking about. He said that he was supposed to go there for Monday Night Football.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's different with like a fact checker. If it's journalism, then you wouldn't just ever print something that involved something that was inaudible, because a fact checker has to go to the person and say, hey, we're using a quote. Is it, do you agree that you said this? So then in that case, you would go to the source. But obviously the court reporter or the person who works for the police department who's transcribing an interview or something can't like call or isn't calling the person who was in the interview to say like, hey, it sounds like you're saying this, or do you remember what you might have said? It's
Yeah.
so different than that. But those moments can be frustrating. You just wish
Yeah.
the equipment picked everything up in a way that
Yeah.
made it easier to parse all of
Well,
that.
yeah, you wish that the cops are all audio engineers and paid more attention to what they were, what they were, like not taking the microphone and like dinging their pen against it or scratching something against it.
Yeah.
Kali or Coley Bing in the chat says she says, I've done law enforcement transcription and all caps, I hate having to use inaudible, but sometimes the audio is just
Oh
that
my God, of
bad.
course it is. There's stuff that there's stuff that I can't. I'm so glad that the transcriber could hear, because if I'm going against the transcript for and actually listening to the interview, I'm like, oh, thank God they knew that that's what that person was saying,
Yeah.
And it becomes clear, yes, of course that's what they're saying. But if I were transcribing it, I would have a lot more inaudibles in there.
Seriously, though, some of the transcribers in this season have been pretty incredible. Like the transcription, and maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but remember after Robert and Michaels had left the room and they were
Mm-hmm.
talking far away and you couldn't hear it, the transcription of that was pretty accurate. I mean,
Yeah.
and it was like they were out of the room and you could barely hear it. And if you
Yeah.
listened along, like they had it nailed pretty. And that was, by the way, huge for anybody who's really, I think, objective in the case. When you hear Robert's hope when he says, oh wait, so nobody was found, there wasn't anybody in a
The
wheelbarrow,
wheelbarrow
so that's
thing
not.
wasn't true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Karen D with a $10 super chat. Thanks. Karen says, are you guys planning on discussing other high profile cases or only T&J?
Karen, bring it. You want to
Yeah.
talk about Leo Schofield? You want to talk about Adnan's appeal? I'm
Yeah.
totally
So
up
the
for that. Those are
intention,
good examples.
yeah, the intention of this is not necessarily to talk about T&J. Of course, since this is a big bulk of our audience, we'll take questions on that. But no, the idea is talk about kind of what's going on true crime in the world. And again, start throwing us some ideas of people that you guys may want to have as our celebrity pop in later. And speaking of prepared, and maybe it may always be a scramble. You never know what people are going to be doing. But I will point out that I have reached out to over 50 of my true crime friends and warned them about this and let them know it's coming. Have you reached out to any of your people and warned them that they may get a
No,
no?
because I wanted to do one to make sure we both showed up for it. And you can see now why I'm glad I did that.
So you're saying we're not getting Conan O'Brien today?
I don't think we'll get Conan. I feel like it makes more sense to a fellow true crime podcaster or true crime streamer or, anybody in that world.
Yeah.
I just had less of an idea of exactly what I was asking of comedians who may or may not have any interest in true crime. So, now that and also we were maybe going to touch base this weekend. So maybe from you, I can get a little, maybe from you, I can get a little snapshot of what you sent people, and then I can sort of adapt it to fit people who aren't necessarily as deeply into true crime. That being said, I definitely have comedian friends who are also true crime nerds. 100%.
And they don't have to be. I think the idea, and we're obviously this is going to evolve as we do it, but to me, the whole idea is it's loose. It's a fun conversation. We'll hit on some true crime stuff. We'll do some chat, so it doesn't even necessarily have to be about true crime stuff. I'm going to vote at some point in the future. Once we get our feet underneath us, we're going to need Matt Gorley on here.
Okay.
Uh, because it's just getting me that much closer to
Yeah.
Conan.
Inching you a tiny bit closer. Got it. Yep.
Yep, a little bit
Yeah.
closer to Conan.
Okay. We'll have to
Um,
start putting a list
we
together.
can't forget though our very first super chat today. I don't remember the name, but they asked about they wanted kitten talk, I believe. Is what
Well,
they
I interpreted Jenna, the wonderful Jenna McCloskey. I
yeah.
interpreted her kitten, her black cat sticker, as
Mhm.
perhaps being about kitten talk. Maybe it's just a super cute sticker, but either way, I want to hear some kitten talk.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me tell you. First of all, they're not as old as I thought they were. I think I said last week that I thought they were born on the Friday. They were actually born. My ex-wife, who was very interested in the kittens, said she looked back through our text and said that they were born on Sunday, the 23rd, Sunday or Monday, whatever day that was, which means that they just now hit 2 weeks old, which means this between 2 and 3 weeks is when they should start wandering out.
Sorry, I'm reading. I need to start. I'm realizing I need a separate note-taking device. I think I'm gonna go get. Maybe I should get a notebook and
Well,
paper
I just want to show
because.
people this is what I got of kittens. All I can do, because they're tucked way back into like back behind some steps. So all I can do is like hold my camera back there. I think there's 4. I'm not positive about that.
Got
And the
it.
problem is it appears they're all black cats, except for
Oh.
one has a gray face. So when I put the video back there, I just see a mass of black moving and then
Uh-huh.
one little cute little light colored face yawning. I'll give you a little.
Cute. Okay, you do that. I'll be right back. I really am going to get a piece of note paper so I can write down these suggestions people are
Okay,
having.
you see that little ear there? That's the one that I can see. And she's not she or he, whatever it is not really doing much. But you can see the one light colored one. I do have one where she was like yawning though, but there's also a dead gopher in the way. Let's see if we can get where's that there. And of course I can't see what I'm looking at. Yeah, you're just looking at there. No, for some reason we're just going to be looking at that dead gopher. I did remove the dead gopher. Any hoosers. It looks to me like there are 3 or 4 of them. About or 2. Who do we got here? Amanda Knox. Got some Rabias.
Okay, will you read some to me? Let's see.
Prank
I
calls
saw
to
Zach.
Gillian
I saw Sean T.
T.
I saw Rabia.
Oh,
I
I didn't
saw
warn
Mandy
Sean T.
Matney. I saw Karen.
I may try Sean. I've given Sean no warning. So, but we'll see. But Sean may be up for it. I know he's super busy right now. The Beachbody's doing a bunch of new stuff. Always want kitten talk.
Holy precipice. I don't know. Letitia Stotch verdict watch today. I'm not familiar, so I'm gonna have to get familiar.
Well, let's do you guys can always make sure I didn't miss anything. Super chat us in any
Oh, the Murdaws. Yeah, I saw that, Danielle.
particular
Murdoch,
things that
sorry,
you want to talk
Murdoch.
about. And again, keep letting us know who you may want us to reach out to. And of course the super chats get the priority on the voting on who we're going to reach out to today. I may try Sean.
Got it. GG.
What are you doing? Taking notes?
Yeah, I'm just writing down names.
Okay. So what we should do is we should move into a segment on the true crime news right now. And and you had some stuff kind of prepared for that, and also you guys can always hit the contact form on our website to let us know. Somebody had, and I got to find it. Someone had emailed and suggested that we do kind of a fun true crime. Thank you, Jen, for the super chat. No message attached. Like do kind of fun true crime stories, and this person had sent in a link to kind of a funny story. So I'll see if I can find that.
Okay. Sheila, great. I missed a gopher. Yeah, so there was a dead gopher. Was there a picture of a dead
Oh
gopher
yeah, it's the
that the
same dead
cat
gopher
killed?
I think you've seen before. Yeah,
Okay, great.
and drug back
I
there.
thought it was a rat or a mouse. I guess I didn't
It's
realize
a
it was a
it's a
gopher.
gopher chipmunk type thing. I
Okay.
did finally just just had to like it's for some reason it was scary for me. The thing's been back there dead for as long as I've been looking for the kittens back there. But it was freaking me out that I had to reach my arm back around like in a dark space where I couldn't see and grab it to get it out of there. And I only did it because I take the pictures and it's always a picture of this dead gopher. But I finally did it. And when I did it, it had been there for it was like dried out. It was like a dehydrated gopher. It was disgusting. Jenna, yes. So the
Ah,
I'm a big fan of naming cats what they are. Some of the cats that I've had over my lifetime, my very first cat, who was my very first pet that I had all but well, that's not true. I had some ferrets before that. It's another story. But the first like normal pet that I had was a cat that I named Kitty. I
great.
had a cat named Tabby. It was a tabby cat, go figure. I had a calico cat that I named Calico. So that's always so I continue to call the mama cat Mama Cat. My son Parker, my youngest, has named the cat Millie. He did that the instant, like within 1 second of seeing her the first time in the fall. He's like, her name's Millie. And then so now everybody's taken to calling her Millie. So I
Okay.
believe Millie
All right.
is the name.
Okay, Millie, great. Okay, I've taken all these notes. Also, one thing I would be interested in too is like times that you guys would like to see a stream, just because my schedule is wackadoo crazy and it's hard. It might be hard for me to consistently always. And we've talked about this, but
Yeah, and I think we should bump it
um,
around too anyway, because
yeah,
we have people from all over the world that have
exactly. I
different
know that was
schedules,
something
so we don't
people were
want
interested
only
in. So
the same time.
interested in like time frames that people are like, oh, actually, it's more convenient for me if it's blank time.
Yep. So Mel Jordan suggested this. She didn't send the link, she sent a screenshot, but she had emailed and said, I think you should have talking about that show, and you could have it be lighthearted news stories that we send you. And she sent me one that says the headline is a massive dump of pasta in New Jersey sets off a fury of interest and also a fury.
A pasta dump.
Yeah, and there's a
I'm
picture of
fascinated.
that's spaghetti.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just broke everyone's ears.
Yeah.
What
Uh
is it? Dry spaghetti or is it cooked spaghetti?
It looks like cooked spaghetti to me. And Danielle chats and says, can we suggest local cases for
Yes, I
absolutely?
saw that. Yeah, I did say I did see that. I think that's great, Danielle. I wrote it down without actually acknowledging that I saw that you asked that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea for me, at least the way I see this kind of shaking out, is a lot of it is kind of just driven by you guys. You guys tell us what we catch up, we keep it breezy, we talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So yeah, so if anything like that, just pop it in there and then we will mention it. Yes, pasta mystery. I'm going to try. Those are wet noodles. I agree. I'm going to try to find this story while you're.
Yeah, I gotta know. I love early evening Pacific time. Okay, great.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now that tomorrow, I cannot do it at this time tomorrow. I have at exactly this time tomorrow. I have an interview. So 11 o'clock tomorrow morning won't work for me.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna have to discuss this because my schedule is. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we will.
I
We
mean, I have
promise
time,
there
but
will
yeah,
be.
I'm all over the place.
If you're watching this on the replay and you're like, "What a shit show this show is," we promise that this is this was 1 minute of hitting record or hitting live and doing this. We will
Correct.
be much more. Normally, we'll be like, "All right, thanks guys, and make sure you tune in tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and that'll be our show." But we just don't know what's going on right now.
Great. Yes. True. And also, it's just taking time for us to get suggestions and stuff. Perhaps we can figure out a way to streamline and organize. I mean, obviously the super chats are a great place to do that, but that's also, you guys don't have to like give us money to make suggestions, but I just want to figure out a way
we'll
to
definitely
like
see them if you do, because they get
together.
highlighted.
Okay. Pasta dump. And where's the pasta dump happened?
I found the story right here. I can zip through it while you are, and
Please.
then you're going to have to go through what you. So the headline is a massive dump of pasta in New Jersey sets off a fury of interest and also a fury. Sadly, it's not unusual for things to be dumped in New Jersey, but a recent case brought a new twist. Hundreds of pounds of pasta left along a local brook, and a mystery about who did it and why. Workers in Old Bridge Township found 15 wheelbarrow 15. Okay. I mean, as a detective, if
Yeah.
they're wheelbarrow loads, that means it's close. How far are you going to carry?
And are we
15?
sure that it's how
Yeah.
are they judging that? Are they judging that because they had to take it back out in wheelbarrows? Like, how do you know it's a wheelbarrow load?
All I can think of is
Or are you
maybe the
just
size
estimating?
of the piles. I don't know. That's what it
It's
says.
about the
15.
size of a wheelbarrow. Okay.
It says workers in
Pile.
Old Bridge Township found 15 wheelbarrow loads of, quote, illegal dumped pasta along a creek in a residential neighborhood.
That is so weird.
Yeah. And that was
so
Old
weird.
Bridge business administrator Himanshu Shah
Okay.
or Shaw told NPR the pasta came in a variety of shapes, from spaghetti to macaroni. Mounds
Okay.
of it
Not
sitting
just
along the
spaghetti.
wooded bank. So it's not like it's in a residential neighborhood. Where are you boiling one wheelbarrow full, much less 15 wheelbarrows full?
And also, why? Why?
Yeah. It's a mystery. They don't know why.
Why does it need to be cooked?
It says right
What were
here,
what were you getting it ready for that you then realized you didn't need it, and then you needed a place to get rid of it, and you thought the side of a creek was a good way to go? Does the person dumping it think, I'm going to be feeding hungry animals? This is a kindness that I have
don't
to
know,
also
but
get rid of this illegal
apparently
pasta.
these folks in what did I say, it was Old Bridge Township, they beefing, it sounds like, because it says, but for residents like Nina Joknowitz, the noodle's unexplained appearance was the last straw. It's the last straw for Nina.
Okay.
She says, quote, at this point, I do know who did it, she told NPR, but this story is not about that.
It's not?
It seems like it is.
It's not about who did it?
That.
What's the story about? What does she think the story's about?
A local activist blames a missing town service. For her, it's not who dumped the pasta, but why. While people fixate on the Pastagate aspect of the story, why do you use her last name instead of her first? Joknowitz said, this quote, the story really is about the fact that in Old Bridge, we do not have a bulk garbage pickup. It has been a point of contention for the entire time. I've lived in this town 23 years.
Okay.
When Joknowitz, an environmental activist and former township, I'm going to call it Nina did it. Right. I mean, that seems obvious, right?
Oh, so Nina's like, let's stop focusing on the who of
right.
who
And she's
could
like,
have done that.
let's
call attention to the issue we have spotlit coincidentally by doing this.
Yeah, someone has no other choice. She says she knows who did it, but that's not the point, because they don't have a bulk trash pickup. She's an environmental activist and former township council candidate, so she got beaten in an election.
Okay. All right. Alana says it was a guy getting rid of his mom's prepping supplies. I read an updated report this morning. Someone else, Allie says, I heard it was someone's mother passed and it was a bit of a hoarder. Oh no. This is
so they boiled what, and it says it just said here somewhere 300 to 400 pounds of pasta.
Kathleen says, I'm pretty sure I read that the pasta was uncooked, but the wet weather made it soft, which was an early question I had that I didn't get a chance to bring up. So Kathleen, that was my question as well. Was it just moisture exposure that made it look cooked?
Will cold water do that to pasta?
Also, did this person who said this is the issue say anything about composting? Because that's also, I mean, in LA now, you have to put all of your food scraps in a compost container, and then you put that in your green, like, yard stuff bin, because we have 3 bins. It's like that's the law now because it has to be used towards composting instead of going to the dump or going into the water supply and stuff. So if it's pasta, that's got to get composted in Los Angeles.
Oh, well, maybe that's what they were doing. Maybe they were just composting it is what they were doing. I don't know. Speaking of compost, I found out. So, as most of you don't know, guys, I'm a huge quail farmer, big quail farmer, and I have to dump a bunch of quail poop every about 3 days when I clean the cages. And I just we've got on in the back of my property. I just dump it out in the woods. Figure that's some compost. We actually got some warm weather this weekend. It was up to nearly 80 degrees,
which makes poop smell better. Everyone knows that.
Oh well, I thought this is all the rain hits it soaks down. It's going to be great compost. And I was going. So my son Quentin graduates in a few weeks, and we're having his grad party here, and we have a big burn pile back there. And I'm starting to build him a nice big bonfire for his party. And when I went back there in that 80 degrees, turns out the quail poop smells terrible when it's warm outside. And the best part about it is where it's all dumped in the woods, you can't see it, so you just sit there wondering what the hell is that awful smell.
You're gonna have to dig a compost pit or something. Is there
it's too much.
How does one
I spread so this is very
this
important.
Is
the process every 3 days I take and I scrape all the poop out of the trays into the back of the bed of my side by side, my Kawasaki Mule, and I drive it to the back. It has a dump bed, and I dump it out, and I spread the piles out. I'm a big fisherman too, and I figured, man, that's going to be a great spot to find some good fish and worms.
Sure, worm farm.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. But there's so many. I mean, twice a week, forever. They're scattered throughout. And they smell terrible. They smell real bad. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that that smell bakes off between now and the 28th when the grad party happens.
I kind of hope it doesn't, but I don't. I love your children. I shouldn't say that, but part of me kind of hopes it doesn't.
If any one of my kids deserves to have all his friends wondering why his bonfire smells like quail shit, it's Quentin. It is for sure. I already ruined it. I was so happy to ruin his day today. So he's in the tail end. They've got 2 weeks of school left. He takes college classes. Those are done. So he literally goes to school at 11 in the morning for 2 hours every day is all he has left.
Yeah.
But I made him wake up at 7:30 this morning to go pick me up when I dropped Bella's car off at the mechanic.
Got it.
He was really upset about waking up early, which made me happy because he ruins my day all the time.
Oh, Quentin.
Yeah. Oh, real quick too, before we get into Janet's stories, and we're going to do that in 1 second. Guys, if you're in the chat, do me a favor and make sure you go like this video. If you're on mobile, you can just close out of the live chat, hit like, open the live chat back up. But that'll make it, because we're hoping to draw on more people that aren't just T&J listeners that are looking for news about wet noodles on the side of the road. But my take on this. So somebody in the chat said that they read about this and it was dry noodles, and it was because their mother was a hoarder. That seems to me, though, how much work is that? Someone mentioned they should have donated to a homeless shelter, which I totally agree with. But instead of doing that, they had to open. I mean, boxes of pasta are only so big. How many boxes did they have to open up and dump out in order to get 300 pounds of pasta onto the ground?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're buying in bulk. You're buying in bulk.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, hate to do this, but we're here hoping to raise a little extra money. So always appreciate those super chats. 99 cents helps. It's
or $100.
Or $100. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just, because I would love to do this all the time for nothing. But I do know that it's pulling Bob away from actually having to work on stuff, and that's we don't want to defeat the purpose.
Pulling me away from showering.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, I just want to remind people, this does take time. So part of the purpose of this is that we actually need this is a fundraiser. I guess that's why I'm saying we have to get used to the idea, Bob, that this is a fundraiser as well. I got to get used to saying that because it physically repulses me to ask for money, but that is why we're here. Otherwise we would, you would be working, and I don't know what I would. I mean, I would absolutely be working.
That's a
on
writer's
stuff,
strike.
But
You're not doing
much of the stuff I do is for free anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Right. Yeah. So what do you got? What did you prepare?
Well, I was ready to, chat about the Adnan situation. We've talked about it a little bit before, but I think it's an interesting decision to have to make. I just feel most of Adnan was his conviction was vacated. We all sort of had the understanding that the state was not particularly interested in retrying him. Everything seemed to be going great, but there was this sticking issue of Hayes' brother being invited to the hearing but not being there in person, and then your favorite guy, the attorney general or whatever, seems to have made this a pet case to just spitefully create some roadblocks, and some folks feel like he's kind of exploiting Hayes' family, which is completely unfair, by saying like, well, let's appeal on this because we're going to say that he wasn't given enough time to show up. We know that Adnan's attorneys appealed that decision, saying, you know, consider this the same way you would consider other requests for appeal in crime, which is to say, would this fundamentally change the outcome of the situation? And they said, you know, it's not going to change the conviction vacation. So what are you putting everyone through? And that includes Hayes' family. But that was overturned. That was not heard. And so now there's this question of whether or not this could set a legal precedent for something as important as a conviction being vacated, being dragged out for months and months and months on appeals that may not fundamentally change the outcome of this vacation. So does Adnan take the sort of stance of, I'm going to represent everyone who comes after me and continue to appeal this as high up as we can take it? Or am I just going to agree to have the hearing again, have the same outcome, and then have the conviction vacated, knowing that like right now he's still like, if it's, you know, he's not going back to prison, but it could change his life. Like he can't say I'm not a convicted murderer.
So what I had missed, so the court did reject their motion for reconsideration.
Yes. Okay. Yes, so they rejected the motion for reconsideration. So now, but it's hard because, as happens with, you know, our the gentleman in the West Memphis 3 case and many other folks, it's hard because you deserve to have your life, yet at the same time you end up being sort of put on in this situation where you're like, well, am I going to stand for all the people to come after me, or am I going to move forward with my life? And I don't think there's a wrong answer. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just it'll be interesting to see what happens.
It can get tricky. I don't know.
Guys. Thanks everybody for all the super chats. We really
and I'm gonna touch on those real quick and answer those questions. But as far as Adnan, it's tough because if he goes the route of taking this all the way to the appeals, I don't know. Last I knew, there was some risk that they could say, well, you have to go back to jail until it's settled. If it's going to be years of process, as opposed to it's going to be very easy for them just to say, you know, because Ivan Bates, who's the current DA, is, from my understanding, will do the exact same thing. He'll just overturn the conviction. So it'd be real easy just to accept the ruling, go back to court, redo the hearing with plenty of notice for Young, Hayes' brother, and then everything's done. But then, like you said, it could set that legal precedent. Or if he fights it in a higher court, or the Supreme Court says, no, you can't reinstate this conviction based on the victim not being there in person and only being there via Zoom, then that sets a precedent for everyone that no one else can do this again. But how many years of Adnan's life could that cost him to do it? So it's tough.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank Tracy for the super chat.
Thanks,
Amy sends super chat and says, Obsessed Fest, will Janet be there? And will there be an extra meetup? I'm planning on being there a day or two early.
Nice. Thanks, Amy.
Yeah. And JV is going to be there.
I will be there. I don't know that they've added me to the website or anything yet. I sent them the stuff they asked for many weeks ago, but there's not really been a sign of any movement on that. So I'm hoping to get some more clarity on that soon. It's hard for me to announce. I hate announcing to my followers that I'm going to be a place and then sending them to a website where they're like, no, you're not. You're full of shit.
No, it is confirmed. I had a meeting with Patrick Hines and Natalie, and they confirmed for sure both Janet and Zach are going.
Oh, 100%. We've definitely been in touch. Like, they had us send, Zach and me send bios and pictures and asked about some initial kind of travel questions and stuff like that. So it's definitely happening, but hopefully that will show up on the public end sometime.
Yeah. As far as a meetup, I mean, so this is the way. I don't know how it's going to be laid out at the venue where we're going in Dallas. But what was nice about Obsessed Fest in Columbus was the way the venue was laid out. It was such a big place with like bars and restaurants right there in the facility. is so the meetups were basically when we weren't performing or doing something, everybody was hanging out. There was like this central huge open space bar. And so all of us just like whenever we weren't doing anything, we just went down there and that's where everybody was at. And we got to sit and talk to people and take pictures and do stuff. So yeah, we'll definitely spend some time with you guys.
Great.
Lauren wants to know if I'm showering daily. And the answer
Great
is
use of the super chat, Lauren. I love your spirit. Fantastic. Are you showering daily?
And no, I'm not. That was a lie. I was not going to shower today.
Okay.
I showered yesterday. And here's a fun fact. I showered yesterday because my wife shamed me and told me I stink.
Good for you, Becky. That's not shaming. That's just cold hard facts.
Listen, I go to the gym every morning. I work from home. I don't see people. I spend my evenings. I'm out, especially this time of year. I'm doing yard work. I'm taking care of the birds. I'm hustling all day, and I'm just done at the end. And then
you can't give everything else the best and your relationship the rest. You gotta honor and serve that relationship because that person is with you thick and thin, stink and fresh.
Yeah, and she made that point. It was actually on, and I even pushed her back a day. So on Saturday, I was doing yard work all day long, and I went in the house, and she just happened to be sitting on the bed. She was looking at her phone or something, and I plopped down next to her on the bed, just to chat with her for a minute. And I sat down, and she said, her exact words, "You fucking stink. You need to take a shower." And I said I finished my yard work at like 9:00 at night. I knew I was going to the gym Sunday morning, so I wrote her out one more day. But then yesterday afternoon, I did finally shower, which for me, Lauren, means I'm good till, I don't know, Wednesday.
Gross.
Actually, that's not true. I have that interview tomorrow, and so I will have to like shower and put on real people clothes tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'll be showering tomorrow. So for me, that's like every other day. That's pretty good. Let me buzz through the rest of the. We got
Chantel. I love this. What I assume is a karate fox. Giving some amazing punches in the air. It's fantastic.
Jennifer Hill.
Wait, Jennifer, which one? The judge is deciding his case. Is his case Adnan?
I'm assuming she's talking about Adnan.
Tell us if we're wrong. The judge is deciding his case.
Yeah, I have to believe that she's talking about Adnan. And like, I don't know anything about those judges, but this ruling seems bananas to me, especially after 2020, when, I mean, defendants are appearing in court via Zoom. The fact that they stopped the hearing, they gave him, they notified him the week before. He wasn't able to come.
Yeah.
When it was pointed out that he wanted to be there, they asked if they could Zoom, or if he could Zoom. They said he doesn't get off work till 3:00, so they waited till at 3:00. They let him Zoom in. They let him say his piece. They made the ruling. For a judge then to overturn that, I can't say corrupt because I don't know the judges, but it seems like a crazy ruling to me. It really does.
Yeah, I haven't read like if there's an actual ruling, like you can read their decision and why, because obviously we're in an interesting position because a lot of the time people think that we're just sort of anti law enforcement or that we're anti criminal justice system, and at times that's true, but we also, I would like to think we advocate for victims. And I think most of our viewers, friends, listeners, we are interested in both sides. Like we're following cases that are about people who very clearly seem to have committed a crime or have been convicted of committing a crime that we would like to see stay exactly where they are, as well as people who shouldn't be there. So it's not like we're only interested in people who are victims of the system, but who are because they're accused of something they didn't do. Of course, we're super passionate about victims' rights as well. So, obviously, we always want to be thinking about Hayes' family and any other family that might go through this. But this particular scenario it's hard to see. I guess it's hard to see the perspective on it in a way that feels rational. But we'll see.
Yep. And Jennifer, thank you for the chat.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Lilius, always ready for West Memphis 3 update. I wish I had one for you. Right now we're just waiting on a court date to present the appeal to the Arkansas Supreme Court. So that's, and Damien, when I spoke with Damien about the last ruling, where the state had asked to throw out the appeal because the whole thing was filed in the wrong court. that ruling did go in favor of Damien, which where they said that no, they're not going to throw it out because of that. And so, but then they gave time. I want to say in 60 or 90 days. They gave the state more time to then file the response. Damien's concerned that they are waiting. They did that so they could get into the summer recess section and push it back to fall. So we're just in a waiting holding pattern right now. Josh, thank you for your super chat. And Joey says Bob needs to check out the Cassidy rainwater case out of Dallas County. MO, is that Missouri? What's MO?
Yeah,
Missouri. Not likely a wrongful conviction, but it's weird. Also fire. Thanks, Joey. I will check that
you said
out.
the magic word.
Fire.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was writing the script for this week's episode and I got to the fire and I was just like, it just clicked to me, the fire, the stuff that I talked about in the episode yesterday. And then I spent like an hour like writing that full explanation for all that. And I was like, oh, great. Now I'm at deadline and I have 20 more pages to get through. But yeah, I'll check that one out, Joey.
Zach Weaver. Zach, I love
Robin.
this because if Zach's in the chat, that means he's tattooing someone with one hand and chat and being in the chat in the other, and the person he's tattooing is like, are you paying attention to my tattoo?
It's terrifying when he does
Zach,
that. There's nothing more terrifying than Zach tattooing you while watching TV and laughing at something. It's happened to me many times. Robin, thank you for the super chat and the another karate fox.
Huge fan. No, it's not well. I mean, it might just be him saying hiya, like hi, or is he chopping? I guess it's hiya. Is it like Miss Piggy, like hiya, or is it?
That's how I
won't be doing that impression anytime soon.
Are they just saying hiya?
Yeah. I'll take it as either because I love his little fangs.
Brittany Hughes says, just for hashtag Team Zach so he can see it again. Damn it. I told
we'll
you
take it. We'll take it. No, we encourage any super chats, including hashtag Team Zach. I'm all for it. All for it.
Hedge Block Key. This seems incredibly generous. Who super chatted $99, but it appears to be in Czech. It's CZK. I don't know.
It could be, we don't know how to.
That could be 50 cents. That could be.
We don't know how to transfer
$1,000.
That. But, translate that. But that's, and also just the cutest. Oh, look, it's a tiny. I love drawings. I love. I love gifts.
It's a lemon giving a present to a lime. But
that lime is very small.
That's
I guess part of it is because the lemon has such long legs.
Yeah, it's a baby lime. Thank you so much for that. Chris says, word is there are some companies who make glasses that may be looking for to sponsor smaller companies due to a huge windfall.
Okay.
That seems to be done as kind of a nod and a wink, but I don't know what are we talking about, like Warby Parker, or what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Listen, guys.
I think Chris is just saying that you have made small glasses companies rich by buying so many glasses.
Yeah, my 3 pairs of glasses. I was so glad to do this on this screen because I know these glasses work on this screen. They don't work on that
Chris has made it his job because it's Chris who's been teasing you in our lives as well on Wednesdays. And I love that Chris has made it his job to shit on you about how many glasses you have.
Oh, see, now I fully get it because of a huge windfall, which the huge windfall is Bob Ruff buying 3 pairs of glasses.
I cry.
And I think, you know what, dude, Chris, I think, I don't know if Chris is a dude. A dude is gender neutral for me.
Same.
I think like I'm so fucked. I think my eyes getting worse. I got the glasses that work for everything, and also I'm having trouble seeing again, even with my right eye. I'm going blind in my right eye, I think is what's happening. Because it's getting worse. And I'm pretty sure, like with my insurance, I know I have to wait at least a year before I can get another pair of glasses. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep buying glasses from them. Yeah.
Great. I don't want to overstay. Again, KEJMLOK key. I hope we didn't gloss over that. We literally have no idea what that currency is, but even if it's 1 cent, we love you. If it's has any equivalent to American dollars, you're insane and we love you. We love you either way. And I can't wait to find more out about this currency because I'm learning. I'm learning every day. You don't know what you're going to learn when you're on True Crime Live. You don't know what you're going to learn.
If and this just in, We've got Tracy Courtney saying that equals $4.99 US. And then we have
Oh, that's
Corinne
wonderful. That's so
saying
generous.
it's like it's about $4.60
That's very
US
nice.
dollars. It is very, very nice of you.
Thank you so much. And you're
And now I
away.
know.
We
Yep,
love
Daniel.
that.
It looks like we
Ooh,
got
headaches. I'm
confirmations
writing
in.
that
It's
down.
$4.66. So thank you very much. Yeah, I don't didn't mean to make a joke out of it, but it's just funny to me because I saw it and I was like, I don't know what that even
You're
means.
like, I don't know how to respond. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
fantastic. It's
but thank you,
fantastic.
very generous. Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Yep, that seems to be the case. Did you have another
Chris
story?
wants to know how Sandy is. How's Sandy doing? Do we know?
I haven't talked to Liz in a couple of months, but that's a good
fun to have
reminder
Liz
for
on.
me. Oh yeah, she's another one we could hit
go.
up. But yeah, that's a good reminder for me to reach out to Liz.
Great.
She was doing her husband has took a new job this year. They were doing a bunch of traveling. Last I spoke to her, she was doing, and you got to meet Liz in
man.
LA.
And listen, this is a side note, and it does not matter at all because these things don't matter, but she is fly as hell. Like I forgot from the last time I saw a picture of her or saw anything that she basically looks like she should be a multi-platinum recording artist or something. Like her style is so fierce.
Yeah,
she's
beautiful.
She's beautiful. But like in every way, she's a beautiful person. And
can we talk about your
badass.
use of the word fly? Is that still a thing in 2023?
Oh, heck yeah.
Is it coming back? Because I know it was gone.
Oh,
I know for a
hell
fact
yeah.
that was gone.
If we're using hang and dong, I am bringing back fly forever.
Hanging Dog's
Yes.
new.
That's Nothing goes away. Nothing goes away.
1995.
We just keep bringing it back. And Schaefer James, thank you for supporting Chris's glasses long game. Could not be more on board. Could not agree more. Love it, love it, love it.
Hurts,
I think
it hurts me deeply.
Don't be afraid to start sending Bob hilarious glasses because I would love to see Bob have to open up a box of joke glasses and put
guys,
them on.
that could be a fun segment on here. Like I said, I mentioned on Patreon. I said we got a few boxes, but on our website's PO box. If you guys send us stuff, we'll do a mail section if you just want to send funny things or whatever. But if you do that, just write on the box or something that it's for TC Live, which is this, or if it's for the follow for Patreon or whatever, so we know when it's supposed to be open. Mary says she'd love to hear from Ed. Yeah, I'm sure we can arrange that, although not right now because Ed's at work right now. So it'd be like an evening time one when we get a hold of Ed. Because Ed's driving a truck, so he's not going to be answering any Zooms. So great. You said you had a couple things. What else you got, JD?
Well, the other one is for those of you who follow Bone Valley, Leo Schofield, who is 1000% innocent, had his parole hearing and was not granted immediate parole. Gilbert and Kelsey dropped a fantastic, I think, hour-long episode last week where they really broke down what it was like before, during, and after that parole hearing. We had some audio from the event, and it's one of those kind of how do you allow yourself to feel about this? And also, the episode is called It's Just a Meatball. And Leo Schofield, if you've been following the Bone Valley podcast and case, comes up with the best analogies and metaphors. He's like such a poet, and that's just another great, like, what does Leo mean by that? And you find out what he means by it, and it's adorable. And that every single episode of that podcast makes me cry, and it's great. So he's not going home right now, but they sort of agreed to a compromise where he's moving into a facility in Everglades that sort of, quote unquote, like boosts your rehabilitation so you're more ready to go out into the world, even though he just does not need that at all because he has so much support and such a plan and a family. He doesn't need that. So it feels like a save face kind of thing. Like everyone knows what's up. But they're just sort of like, you know how it goes. It's like, well, we'll concede this because we'll still look like we didn't make a mistake. And we'll try to get this person out. And that's because some of the people on the board seem to believe in his actual innocence, and some people are just sort of, got their blinders on.
If you guys are not familiar with that, so I have an episode with Gilbert King on the True Crime Binge podcast where we talk about it a lot. But that was, as most of you guys know, I'm not super into true crime other than the cases I'm working. That was one of the few where, you know, I sampled it in order to do the interview and got hooked and listened to every word of every episode. And Bone Valley is fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you see?
And Jennifer, don't worry. It is 1 year. It's not 2 years. They wanted to do 2 years, but it's going to be 1 year.
Yeah. So
If
super
that
glad
makes
to
you feel
hear
better,
that
if that helps at all.
there's progress there. Did you see Rachel's
I
message
just
to
saw
you?
it. Yeah. Rachel, for sure. Just email me at janet@janetvarney.com. And let me hear your silly voices.
Yeah.
By all means. And thank you for that super chat. We really appreciate it.
Angela says, can you get T&J merch in fluffy sizes, please? Yeah, when we do another, I've had to take a little breather from the merch because we've had, so our new merch people are fantastic.
Awesome.
When we did the West Memphis 3 shirts, they completely botched the whole thing, and that was exhausting for me. And then the next one we did was just some T&J stuff and the Outsider shirts and stuff. We did that order. And that one, the shirts were fantastic. Everything was great, but they had like a new person that was doing the packaging. And there was, when we had 500 orders, there was maybe 20 that were that got like mailed to the wrong place, or the track, something, there were little things that were mixed up, just normal mix-ups.
Yeah.
But that equaled me dealing with 20 people emailing me every day wanting to know where their stuff was at for me to deal with it. So I'm going to do it again. But yeah, I did notice the last time we didn't do anything in the larger size. I'm a larger size myself. So yeah, when we do it again, we'll do some bigger one. That one was kind of just let's real quick get these things out. And so we did it, but yeah, we'll do some. And by the way, I am forever using the term fluffy size.
Angela. I know, Angela, heard, love you. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it. You so fly. Yeah.
Oh my God. Somebody in here, by the way, just so you know, said that you were super fly. They liked your style, which
how could I have missed that?
I don't believe
Joshua, thank you, Joshua. Oh, regular listener and participator, Joshua. That means the world to me. Very exciting.
You know what's never happened? What's never happened is for someone to say that they like my style. It's never come on.
A lot of people love the Stain Patagonia shirt. A lot of people love that.
The stain came out. The stain came out. Look.
It did?
Yeah, it's probably sweaty now.
Did you just use, what did you use? Because I just tried to get latte out of a shirt of Brandon's and it did not go well.
I after I spilled the taco sauce or whatever it was down it, I put like spot remover and all the stuff on there, and I washed it, and it was just there.
Yeah.
And so it went into my "this is a yard work" shirt pile.
Right.
And I washed it 2 or 3 times, and then yesterday I just pulled it out of the closet and was like, it's gone. We were going to my daughter Bella is
wait, what? Hold on, wait. It went away on its own?
It's just gone.
What? You didn't wash it again after you saw
No. It's been washed a couple times.
Okay. So just gradually been.
It just went away.
Magic.
My daughter Bella
got hope for latte shirt.
Got herself a job, and she's working at a brewery up in Bridgman, where she's running food. So we all went up there yesterday to have dinner with her, which that's what caused me to finally shower, was being out in public and trying not to embarrass my daughter. But that's when I was like, oh yeah, this gets bad though. This story does break bad for me. I pulled this shirt out last night to go to the brewery to have dinner, so my daughter could bring us food. And that's when I realized I didn't have stain, and I wore it. Now, if you're piecing things together, you'll note that I wore this shirt to dinner last night, and I'm also wearing it today. So my bad. Thank you so much, Kathy, for the super chat. And Leanne says, you talk about some current true crime news. Well, we talked about the new stuff with the Schofield case, and we just talked about some stuff with it. We got time.
Yeah, those are pretty recent. I haven't been able to fully follow like every day of the Alec Murtaugh case, but
I thought that was over.
Is it totally over? I know that who said that you wanted some, I think it was Danielle actually, some early talk about wanting to know what we thought about that. And I have to get caught up because I am way more a podcast. Well, that doesn't matter because I know that it's getting updated on a regular basis. I feel like I listen to like 75 podcasts and there's still so much I miss. I mean, I don't know. Look, I without knowing exactly what's happening today, I will say that I'm constantly. It's bad everywhere, but there's just a fascinating particular kind of bad that comes from like that family and
Yeah. So
and sort
yeah,
of what it represents.
he was convicted on March 2nd.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little while ago, but
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about the case, but we're happy to look into it for one of our next episodes. Like I said, this today was really off the. Normally we would have a few stories prepared, or I would. Janet did have a few, but I forgot that we were doing this today.
The Lori Vallow, Leanne bringing up Lori Vallow. Yeah, I mean, I listened to Leah Sotilli's book. I just listened to Dr. Scott talking about it with the other awesome person that filled in for Shiloh when they were talking about it recently. And yeah, I could talk about that forever. We might have to devote an entire like sitting for me to talk about that to you, Bob, if you don't know much about it, because I come from much of my mom's side of the family is Mormon, much of it isn't, but I did have to go to. I apologize for anyone who's Mormon. I don't want to say I had to go to Mormon church. For me, it was the experience of having to go. That said, there were a lot of wonderful people who went there, but I have very, very strong feelings and experience behind like the kind of LDS world and how it fits into true crime and how often it comes up in true crime. So we might have to have like a conversation that sort of uses Lori Vallow as a jumping off point. But I could talk about that forever. I literally can't. We don't have time because we've already been on for over an hour. But I could talk about it forever. So I'm fascinated by it and have lots of thoughts. So we'll put a pin in that. I saw the update on Sandy. Ugh, everyone write Sandy, send her love. Hopefully she'll get the meds she needs. She'll get the medical support that she needs, and we'll just keep fighting. Armpit stains, great. I love the mix of what we're talking about.
Do I have armpit stains?
Classic. No, I think it's just.
Oh.
No, I think we're talking about.
I'm a little distracted because I'm
no.
Actually
that's that. No, there's a discussion of how to get armpit stains out of shirts. Oh. But this is like the family that I want to be in, is people who are happy to go back and forth between the most important and least important things in the world. That makes me very happy because that is how my brain works all day long. Kara or Kara. I always wish that I knew implicitly which one you go by because I have Karas and Karas in my life. But thank you so much. Let's make Bob days even better. Let's chat swag.
Let's chat swag because they know that I don't like dealing with swag. Sorry, I was a little distracted. I just one of the people I hadn't warned was my buddy Sean T. So I just texted him and to see if he would be open for the celebrity drop, and I just sent it, so we'll see. Okay. He's a very, very busy man. I just talked to him on May 2nd was his birthday. I saw my text. What a sweet. I said, "Happy birthday, big brother. I love you." Okay. And then he said, "Thank you, my man. I miss you." That's how me and Sean talk.
Nice.
That was on May 2nd. Yep.
Nice.
And then I said, just now, by the way, any chance you want to come onto a live YouTube with no preparation whatsoever?
Way to sell it.
Yep.
Way to sell it.
So we're gonna do this real quick. If he doesn't get back to me real quick, I've got a few other people in the cam. Let us know who else you want us to.
I got a good robust list already. I'm sure some of these people you already reached out to.
I haven't sent it to anybody today.
No, but I'm just saying like new. Like some cool suggestions, and some folks I don't know, so I'll have to look up.
One that I thought would
just a couple I don't know.
One that I thought would be cool that I don't think anybody suggested is Nick from True Crime Garage, because he just released his book.
Yeah, the True Crime Garage guys definitely got recommended in
Did they?
Our chat today. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got.
I figured you would have texted already.
No, I have. So listen,
okay. So they're into it.
I warned everybody that
you warned
at some point
everybody.
in the future this could be coming.
Got it.
But Sean is the one that I just texted like just right now and was just like, "Hey, you want to do this?" Which I don't even know where he's at right now, but he should be awake unless he's overseas somewhere.
Oh, Karen, I see your Bob Mata. Yeah. I said that like I was like, I see your Bob Mata and I raise you, Rabia Chowdhury. But I see your Bob Mata. Yeah, I need to. I've listened to a couple of his episodes.
Jennifer has a very reasonable request. She says she would like to have Barack and Michelle Obama to come on.
On it.
Yeah.
On it.
You got their number, right? You want to shoot a text over to Michelle?
Yes.
See how she's doing?
Michelle would love to hear from Jamie Snow.
Oh yeah.
Could this ever be timed with like a prison call or something?
That's tough because a lot of the prisons have rules about broadcasting things. I am working on right now. We're working out to do an interview with Robert and Christian for the Pinion Pines case. Um, at least Robert. I was told maybe Robert and Christian. For sure, Robert. They are trying to work with the PR team at the prison to see if we can work that out. So hopefully that'll be easy enough. So okay, so I haven't heard from Sean.
And Christy, thank you. I just saw your post to Leanne, your response to Leanne about Defense Diaries and the Lori Vallow stuff. So I got to get caught up on that. And Gigi McKelvey does too. And that I saw Gigi as a suggestion for a guest too. So, great.
Great. We're gonna try Nick here.
Awesome. Paul Holes. I'll write him down. Zach, I don't know if you're still here. I think we assumed that you went back to tattooing, but if you're still here, we love you so much and we miss you.
What time is it? Noon? Yeah, he's tattooing now.
Yeah. Okay, Paul Holes. Great. Nick, yep. Damien, obviously, would also be amazing.
Oh, I'm hoping Damien, and I haven't seen it, but I was told by some folks that Damien did an interview somewhere and he just wasn't happy about like how things went and stuff, and he's kind of bummed out right now. So I don't know if people were just treating him badly or what happened. But I just
also just see him feel, that's the kind of thing where you just like, you might just make a commitment to like be public for a minute and then also protect yourself and your sort of private life and just like disappear for a while. I would if I were him.
He is he's definitely down right now. He was, I hate to see it because he was so, when we were in Memphis last year and we were ready, when we were going into that court hearing and we were ready for the fight, I mean, he was just so full of hope and so excited. Even after the ruling didn't go our way, he was just like, I'm ready to fight now. We're going to change this for everyone. We're going to do it. And it's just, it just drags out and it just weighs on him. And I know it's really difficult for him to kind of open himself up to the idea that, to have some hope about like that when he's like, he tries to move on with his life and just tries to not dwell on it, and then you get this hope breathed into him, and I think he's struggling right now. Nick, waiting for Nick to answer.
Garrett, you just hopped on. I gotta tell you, we're probably gonna have to hop off again because we've been on a long time, and I do have to go read up on a bunch of stuff for the calls I have today. But love these. Terry saw that. Susan Simpson, love her, definitely on my list for sure. Kathy, Idris Elba, I'm on it. I'm going to make that my number one life's goal. Although from what I understand, he wouldn't come on because I was going to say Bob already snubbed him. So he has put a lifetime ban on being around Bob Ruff for the humiliation he endured.
I shook the man's hand
without knowing who he was.
He was very presumptuous and wanted to take a picture with me when I had adoring fans waiting for me to already take a picture.
All-time great story.
People are taking too long to answer their texts.
Good old Idris. What else did I say? I am enjoying very much the Devil in the Ditch, the Witness Devil in the Ditch season. It's a really fascinating, great personal story told by this reporter whose grandmother was killed many years ago, and she is back in her hometown. I believe it's in Alabama. Trying to sort of parse through all of that. And it's, for me, I love that great combination of it's personal and the sort of inside look at family dynamics and also putting into the perspective of criminal justice.
Is that a new podcast?
It's the fourth season of an existing podcast. The banner is Witnessed. I believe it's Witnessed, and then Devil in the Ditch is the name of this current season, and I definitely recommend it, if for no other reason than the reporter's name is Larison, which is definitely the first time I had ever heard the name Larison.
I know a Larison.
Did you? I've never heard it before. I was like, Larison, that's an amazing, that feels like a combo of two names you put together, and I love it.
Larison, she was one of my young firefighters.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Nick and Captain are recording.
And then I also have been listening to Stop the Killing, which is a podcast run by, oh my God, now I'm blanking on everyone's names. I know Catherine used to be, it was the FBI's former head of active shooter department. And she has basically dedicated her entire life to talking about what the community, what the public, without waiting for legislation, can do to stop the killing, and it's great. It's very proactive, and I've learned so much. I feel like I've learned so much and continue to learn so much about what is improving, what needs work, but also what we can take responsibility for and what we can do to help, so that we don't all feel like we're just waiting for someone to figure this out, like there's one answer. It's great. It sounds like it's a bummer, but it's actually, for me, it's been very affirming and very motivational, in at the same time that it deals with heartbreak. So definitely recommend that. Schaefer, you agree with Devil in the Ditch. Awesome. Harrison Meets Larry. That's what I always
My favorite
thought too,
chat
Lucy.
here is from Amy, who says she will donate serious cash for Idris, as though I have Idris Elba's phone number in my contacts.
I know. I wish. God,
Yeah.
I wish. That'd be
Yep.
amazing.
I have to say, I can only imagine that Idris has people, and that they don't want to talk to me. Lily says, Bob, loved your interview with Alvin on Behind the Pot. Oh, Alvin did that already air? Alvin from Affirmative Murder. I did. To be honest with you, I didn't even know where that was being posted. So Alvin reached out to me and wanted to do an interview. And I did it, and I assumed it was for Affirmative Murder. I don't know what Behind the Podcast is. Is that just an extra episode that he does on the Affirmative Murder feed?
I don't know. Okay.
Amy.
All right. I'm gonna jump off in the next couple of minutes. So if anyone wants to squeeze in some super chats, Bob, I don't know how much more time you have, but I'm gonna catch hell. I need to go too,
but I'm trying to get somebody to pop on.
So
we'll have to. It's our first time around, and we went long, and we were unprepared. So we'll have, and Nick and Captain told me they're recording right now. So there'll be no celebrity drop in today, but we'll get to it. We'll do it. We'll try to do one of these. Do you know off the top of your head what tomorrow's schedule looks like for you, JP?
I got it offline with you about it.
Go ahead and ask Leanna or Leanne. Leanne has a question for you, but she already did super chat.
Oh yeah, no, ask it, Leanne.
Yep. And for Amy, I don't know if you've heard the story, but I didn't know who Idris Elba was when a listener at a pub in London told me to take a picture with him, and he was kind enough to step over and shake my hand and ask me if I wanted a picture. And I had no idea who he was. And there was a line of people at the back of the place waiting to take a picture with me. So I just said, I'll come back. I have to take the picture with them first. And that was really something. So I'm going to wait for Leanne's question, and then we probably better go for the day.
Okay.
My face looks super red. I was out in the sun all day yesterday. I wonder if that's sunburn.
You might be a little pink.
Lighting.
You might be a tiny bit pink.
It's on the Affirmative Murder Patreon. That's where the interview was.
Oh, very cool.
Leanne says I'm wondering, knowing what you know about the frequency of wrongful convictions, what are your views on capital punishment? Oh, I'm happy to talk about that because it's interesting for me, because over these last 8 years that I've been doing this show, like I have evolved a lot in my view, just my worldview in general.
Yeah. And you've shared that, which I love.
Yeah. I've lived my whole life in a very rural community. It's a very red part of Michigan. Michigan's kind of a purple state. And it's because if you look at a map, it's because you've got like Lansing and Detroit and Battle Creek that are like heavily densely populated blue areas, and the rest of Michigan is very spread out, very rural, and it's very red. That's where I grew up, and I always kind of had the if you kill somebody, you should be killed back. And I was a proponent of the death penalty. I was a lot of it, I'm even ashamed to say that some of the views that I had, because it was the world I'd grown up in, and everything it's all I'd ever heard, and so that's how the world made sense to me. When I got into this work and I started, traveling and meeting new people, I think I have a very balanced worldview now because, I just know people from all different parts of the country, different socioeconomic areas. I've obviously dug deeply into the criminal justice system. So the short answer is I'm firmly against capital punishment. did not used to be that way. But here's the thing. We know like you said, Leon, there's a frequency of wrongful convictions is higher than most people would ever realize. But what I've realized is the first thing is that wrongful convictions do happen.
Yes.
And if wrongful convictions do and can happen, even one, then the punishment should never be something you can't take back. It's bad enough when people sit in prison, excuse me, for 20 years for something they didn't do and have to fight so hard to get their name cleared and to get out of prison. That's bad enough. It's terrible. But there have been so many instances where posthumously, I have a hard time saying that word, people are exonerated when they've already been put to death, and there's no reason for it. There's no benefit for it. There's a million studies. It's not a deterrent.
Right.
It doesn't actually help anything. So no, if you know with any conviction there is a possibility that a jury could have gotten it wrong, then we should not be murdering people. And also, just kind of on its face, I feel like, if you're against murder, you're against murder. So I don't think anybody should kill anyone. I certainly don't think the state should do it.
I agree. I would just say, I think it's like humans have proven that they are really good at wielding power irresponsibly. And this is a perfect example. Like, we don't deserve to have that power if we're going to wield it irresponsibly, which has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that we have. So we don't get to make those decisions until, if ever, we actually know what we're talking about. And I have zero faith that that's happening. So I feel for victims. I couldn't have a deeper sense of what must feel like, and to say, I want this person to not walk the earth anymore. They took my loved one. Of course you would feel that way. And I couldn't, I appreciate that on such a deep level. Unfortunately, the world that we live in is we can't handle that in a way that is going to bring, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's, I never question someone who's lost someone who's like, I want that person to die. Could not question that less.
No.
And I wish that you could have the satisfaction that you feel is merited. It's just, we're just not living in that world. We're not living in that world.
And you look at look at the case we're working right now on Truth and Justice, the Pinyon Pines case. I know there are people out there that think they're guilty, but I think most people that are looking at it objectively, at the very least, as we really dig into how things went down, what happened at the trial, how the jurors came to their conclusion, you can see how flawed the system is. So these are two guys that are convicted of murder who I believe wholeheartedly are 100% innocent, but I think it's really hard to argue that they got a fair trial at the very least with everything that we found out. And to know that what that could have resulted in is the death penalty ought to scare the shit out of everybody. And so with that, I think that's a good point to end on.
Yeah.
Thank you guys, everybody, for joining us today. Sorry, half of us were ill prepared. We won't tell you which half. One of the halves of us might have forgotten that we had this going on today. But in our defense,
we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah,
we covered a ton of ground. We got a ton of great suggestions.
Yeah, in our defense, we told you these would be between 30 minutes and an hour, and here we are 90 minutes later.
I know.
Plugging along. So you're welcome. And thank you guys all for the super chats. Thanks for joining us and hitting the like button and everything. And we'll see you probably tomorrow. We'll see at least a couple more times this week until we get the bugs worked out of this thing and get our schedules synced up. All right.
Great.